Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today in this Unimportant review, and almost kind of like a sort of how-to, because I'll admit, the Batman you're seeing here is not the actual one. Well, at least not how you get it straight out of the package here. But I still want to do a review, but I kind of got a little ahead of myself and I did do a little bit of work on this. Because there was a couple of things I wanted to change on it. I didn't want to go too drastic, but I guess still want to showcase the figure a little bit and then go over some of the things that I ended up changing on this. So if you wanted to do it yourself or just to know what things about this aren't quite like they were in the movie. Granted, it's not even still movie accurate to say, but because it's mainly, it should be like, I think from the suit, it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like solid grays, while the figure here, as you can see, has this like, it's like a grayish blue going on. So I didn't want to change all that, and to be honest, I think when you're watching the actual movie it kind of resembles this, but when you see like the suit, it seems a little darker. But anyways, decided to leave that. But anyways, for these unimportant reviews, they go up on our Patreon in advance. So if you guys like to help donate, support the channel, see these a little sooner, definitely make sure to go check that out. Like I said, you kind of get a 2-for-1. So, main reason I got this is I don't really buy Batman stuff that often. I mainly bought the Batman vs. Robin figures because it just, honestly, it's out of all the Batman movies, it's my favorite, like, guilty pleasure one. So, I got that one. And I mainly wanted the Arnold too, so I just ended up buying the set. I bought this one even after selling like the Batman figures off, because honestly, in terms of appearance, this is my favorite Batman we've ever gotten in the movies. I think it's just, in terms of like comic look, the old anime series, just like aesthetically, this is my favorite Batman. Love the Batfleck. So, wanted to get this just to kind of have it in the collection, and usually with the McFarlane figures, I tend to touch these up a little bit anyways. At some point, it's kind of one reason why I like getting the McFarlanes, because they're still relatively inexpensive for what you get. Oh, and at the price point they're at, I think they're fair, but they almost always need some work, especially the Spawn stuff. Because I've definitely done a lot of work on a few of those. But, got him. Ended up messing around with him. I really like it. Also just love that he came with a soft goods cape. I wish they all would. But anyways, without further ado, for the packaging, pretty basic. It's got the DC Multiverse Batman. Tells you which movie it's from. It's from Dawn of Justice, which is, I didn't mind the movie. I thought it was fine, but I know a lot of people kind of crap on it. And to be honest, like, the DC stuff, I thought was solid enough. Be honest, it's better than most of the Marvel stuff that's been coming out as of late. So, I'll give it that. At least for me. And then when you get it out, he does come with some accessories. I didn't bother really with them, because if anything, I might get him, try to get him the gun from the movie, so that I can have the, I guess I'll call it the Kryptonite launcher. But he does come with a stand. Currently got it in the package, because I might end up actually putting him back in the box once I mess with everything. And we got the little card here. So I plan on doing that. Then it just kind of shaves space. But I wanted to touch him up before I put him in there. And it's kind of odd, even with some of the touch-ups that I did. Because for some odd reason, when they did the dry brushing on him, they only did the front. So pretty much, if the cape was going to cover it, they didn't bother with it. So I'll show you that in just a minute. But he does come with 2 batarangs. They're actually really thick. Which, I don't see them giving us the super thin ones like you see in the movie, because they should be almost like a blade. But these are definitely going to be a lot easier for the gripping hands to hold on to. And even though I say that, but there we go. I gotta wedge them in there. But it would be kind of nice to have a little bit thinner ones, just to kind of replicate the movie a bit more. But at least they're hold their pose, anyways. And then you also get the grapple gun. It's just done in a black. It's got the little wench there. Not too bad. I'm probably going to end up going over this with a little bit of rub and buff. Maybe paint the handle before I put it back in. But I haven't gotten that far yet. He also comes with a pair of gripping hands that were on the figure. One has a trigger finger, one does not. And then what was originally there, after I just dropped the hand somewhere on my floor, sad day for me, you have the clench fist, which is what I currently have on him. It'll be how I have them displayed in the back is when I put them back in. But anyways, the stuff that I modified on this figure is, you can see here, I redid the belt, which initially it was just solid gold. It's just one giant solid gold piece of plastic. I ended up going over with black primer and then dry brushing a reddish gold over top of it. And that's how I got the look for the pockets here. You can see on the back the black primer. I still haven't actually sealed the figure yet, but the paint that I use is really rub resistant. Like I said, it's going to end up sitting back in the package anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. But looks really solid. But yeah, you can see here the back matches the rest of the figure. Funny enough, I had a Liquitex paint that I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's like pain gray, something like that. But it's like a really dark bluish gray. And I went over the back of it to get the dry brushing, and then went over the front one more time to give it one more pass, just to cover a little bit more of the nooks and crannies that wasn't really hit on the initial pass. And then for the face, which I thought was solid enough to begin with, at least in terms of sculpt. But in the movie, he has a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow going on. So I added that. Didn't go super hard on it. All I did for that was I just used a blue wash, went over the area that I wanted the stubble to be kind of appearing, and then I have some weathering powder that I went over top of that just to kind of tint it a little bit more gray, and then I got this look here. Problem is, with all this lighting, I know on the camera it looks not as dark as it does in person. And then with that same powder, I kind of hit the mask just a little bit and some of the grays, just to kind of catch the edges a little bit better. But I didn't go super hard. Because again, I think the way it looked originally, the plastic kind of gets that look to begin with. So, works pretty solid for me overall. Like I said, I think the head looks good. I almost kind of wish that the mask looked a little thicker. But I think that's more of a concession to the articulation of the figure that it's not set up like that. Because in the movie it seemed like it was definitely a lot more straight cut, and the neck seems a little thinner on this figure. But still really good. Eyes look nice. They are straight. Preferred positioning of my Batman eyes. Like I mentioned, he does have the soft goods cape. Doesn't have a wire in it. Doesn't really need it though, personally. I'm just kind of happy that it has that. I wish the Batman and Robin stuff had this with it. The detailing on the suit looks really good. You can even see the little patterns going on throughout it. Muscle definition looks really solid too. Overall, really good looking figure. And posability wise, the head can look really high up, which is good. Especially if you're going to be having pose with the Superman, he can actually look up at it if you have Superman floating around. Arms can go up about that far, down about that far. They rotate all the way around. There's also a section here at the shoulder, so you kind of move them in and out a little bit. Double elbow joints. Rotation at the bicep. Hand can rotate around. I think that's on a hinge. That is definitely a hinge. The waist can go forward and back. I do wish that, I know they're getting better with it, but getting more Spawn figures that were got like this level of articulation. Well, I guess I should take that back. I'm looking over, and some of the newer ones are solid enough. It's mainly like the Mortal Kombat one is really good about it. But sometimes they put them in a little bit more stylish poses. And I kind of prefer just stagnant, and then I can mess around with it after. The double jointed knee. So can it rotate up here? A little bit. Nothing too crazy. Then the legs are on a hinge, so they can go forward and back. Rotate side to side. And some toe articulation, which is really good to see. So overall, I think when you initially get the figure, I think it looks good. Especially for the price point. I think it was $25 to pick this guy up. Found it at Target. And to be honest, even if you want to put in a little bit of work into it to get a little bit more movie accurate, it doesn't really require that much effort. Like I said, it's mainly the belt. Sorry about that. And adding the stubble to the figure, I think, is the biggest thing. And then doing the dry brushing on the back. Especially if you're into doing toy photography. I almost feel like the dry brushing is kind of mandatory, and everything else could stay, but still would look a little bit better if you put in a little bit of extra effort. For me, it took about an hour to go through and do all of this. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this review. So help us defeat those guys by hitting the like button, subscribe, become our today. We've also got Instagram, Patreon, Pinterest, and Facebook. If you guys like to keep up to date with channel, donate, greatly would appreciate it. Like I mentioned before, these end up on our Patreon in advance. And if you guys would like to pick up some McFarlane Batman figures for yourself, link in the description for Entertainment Earth, all the sports channel, and get yourself some sweet, sweet collectibles. Anyways, see you guys in the next videos. Bye-bye.